Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Irhad, and my class is called What is Money? The reason that I wanted to teach the class was because when I would see these greenbacks in people's wallets and being traded everywhere and accepted by the clerk at the convenience store, I always thought, why does this green currency have value? Why is it that people can't print this in their basement and go about buying everything that they want? So in order to understand how money works now, we have to go back to its origination and why money helps us trade and helps people live a better lifestyle. Imagine a world without money, where you would have to basically trade to get everything that you wanted. If there are two parties who both had the same thing, for example, a farmer one, who's a corn farmer, grows a lot of corn, has to sell it to get things that he needs. Farmer 2 might have corn and let's say a horse, because he's been able to open up a horse farm and grow horses as well. Farmer 2 would love to sell his horse, but he doesn't need any more corn. He's also a corn farmer. Farmer 1 has only corn to offer. These two won't make a trade, even if Farmer 1 wants Farmer 2's horse. This is when you have to have a coincidence of wants. And that's what's required in order to have a successful trade. Now imagine we had a third person. We had a nun, for example, who loved to make straw hats. And Farmer 2 loves straw hats. But Farmer 2 can only trade his horse. The nun doesn't need a horse. She doesn't like to ride horses. She loves to walk, right? But the nun would love some corn. So if Farmer 1 is able to trade with the nun for the straw hat and trade the corn for the straw hat, Farmer 1 has a straw hat that Farmer 2 also wants. Then we can have a transaction where the horse is traded for the straw hat, and everybody in this transaction is better. The trade won't happen unless both parties feel better with their trade. Now, we can see how there's an opportunity for money to help us out of this trade. If the corn farmer sells his corn for money, he's able to use the money to buy and spend it with everyone else, because everyone else sees the value in money and they know they can purchase things using currency. So kingdoms and governments realized that money is important. They started minting gold coins, silver coins, things that had value, but were also very hard to counterfeit. And if we look at a $100 bill that the United States prints, which is one of the most used currencies in the world, we can see that it has its own security features. For example, some of the intricate designs around the corner, this 3D security strip in the middle, there's also a black light strip here that can only be seen under UV and infrared light. And there's also a little watermark here if you look closely enough. All these things prevent someone from counterfeiting a bill. Now, let's imagine that we got a paycheck and we worked an honest month's work at our job. We go to the bank and we realize that a paycheck has been deposited into our account. Now that we have money, what can we do with it? Well, our options are, one, we can go and spend it on something that we really want, right? For example, we can go and buy a huge expensive burger because we have so much money in our bank account. This isn't an investment, right? As soon as you eat a burger, it's gone, it's forever consumed. It's a consumable good that doesn't have value later on. Our second option, if we have money, and let's say we want to preserve how much wealth we have, we want to take that money and keep it growing in the future, is to find an investment. One of our investment options is to take this money and keep it in the bank. How a bank works is that they'll take care of your money and they might even pay you interest, which is return on the money that you have. They'll say, hey, if you deposit money with us, we'll give you 2% back and increase your wealth by 2% every year because we love that you saved with us. But what they're really doing is taking your money as soon as it hits their vaults and then giving it out to a loan for maybe a person or a business who wants a loan. If a second person goes to the bank and asks for a loan for a car or for a house, the bank is more than happy to take your money and then give it to that person as a loan. They pay you 2% interest to keep your money in its savings account within its vaults, but it charges the person who wants to loan 4%, and that's how it makes profit. That's how banks work, right? So one of our options was to consume things. Another option was to save it in the bank. Another option is to buy stock within a company. And what a stock is part ownership. For example, when Apple first started, when Steve Jobs and his team wanted to make computers and iPhones and iPads and things like that, they needed money. Their options for getting money are to invest their own, but they were poor college students. They didn't have a lot of money. Another option is to get a loan from a bank like we just described. But the problem is a bank doesn't want to give a lot of money to poor college students or someone who thinks they had the next big idea because it's risky. The third option is to sell stock. And what a stock is, like we said before, part ownership in a company. So Steve Jobs goes up to investors or people who want to buy his stock, and he says, hey, I will give you part ownership in this company, which means that you'll be able to make decisions and you'll be able to gain from our profits in the future when this company gets big. But right now you have to trust me that this company will grow and become the next big thing. Here's some stock. I'll give you this stock, which is part ownership in the company, and you give me cash. And that's what he did in the beginning. And the stock, if we take a look at it right now, it would say that in 1981, Apple stock was worth only 51 cents. And then it grew, it blasted off. And now if you had invested $100 in Apple stock in 1981, it would be worth over $23,000. You would have made a huge return, and it would have been an incredible investment. So why don't we go about just making these investments all the time if we're going to make $23,000 on our 100? Well, Apple succeeded, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies have failed. And people who invested their money in those stocks have lost big. So that's why you always have to remember the more risk and the more return that you would like on your investment, the more risk that you have to take. Return doesn't come cheaply. And those are the basics of how money and investing works.